Hello, this is Stephanie from Shimmering Bodies, and today I would like to do a tarot card reading with channeled messages focused on the energetic shifts that are currently happening right now, which I believe are tied to this new moon in Sagittarius with total solar eclipse that's happening on December 4th, 2021. So when I started channeling, the messages came very quickly. I've also been feeling very strongly these strong energetic shifts that began in November with the full moon in November. That was also a partial lunar eclipse that was very strong. And that, so eclipses come in, either 2 or 3. And so this eclipse season or cycle has been linked between what's happening now on December 4th and then what has already happened on, I believe it was November 18th. So it's sort of like the ending of that cycle. And then it's also astrologically an ending of a cycle for other astrological reasons as well, which we might go into later. So to start the reading, I'd like to explain these stones that I chose. So I intuitively pick stones and then I look up to remember what their meanings are. So I was feeling drawn to these pyrite stones, which is called fool's gold because it looks like gold. And I wrote down what they mean, and I'll share that with you because I thought that these were perfect stones. So if you just want to listen and receive the blessing of the pyrite. So the reason why I chose these pyrite stones is because they're going to, in my opinion, counteract some of the energies that are going on and help you tap into a higher vibrational energy rather than some of the low energies that are becoming very prominent at this time. So the first thing I thought of is that quote, which is "not everything that glimmers is gold." And so psychically, I was getting sort of a warning about just false narratives and also deception and just using your intuition to vibe and see if you really know if someone is leading you astray or if you're following, the right situation and if it's real or unreal. So that was my channeled message about the pyrite. And then the pyrite is also about protection. It particularly protects you on an emotional level. It counteracts negative vibrations, toxic thoughts, either in yourself or also toxic thoughts coming from other people towards you. And it keeps you strong and stabilizes you and grounds you. And the pyrite is said to strike the fire energy within the heart. And so it helps you improve your self-esteem. It keeps you strong. It keeps you stable. It keeps you grounded. It also helps you overcome obstacles and get past things, which I feel is a theme right now, is about moving beyond limitations that have previously held you back and coming to realizations around things that need to be eliminated from your life, whether it's behavior patterns that you have that you're just sick of doing and you want to move past them, or whether it's situations or people that you have in your life that you're ready to move away from. And so the other stone that I won't get too much into, it was just like a secondary stone that I picked, is the citrine stone, which I also feel like this is the stone of abundance. It helps cultivate joy from within. It gives you creativity and it helps you transmute energy. And so with the new moon in Sagittarius, there's a lot of fire energy. And so just like the pyrite strikes fire energy within the heart and in the soul, the citrine energy sparks that fire of creativity and helps you transmute. And usually transmutation has to do with the alchemical process of transmuting base metals into gold. So if you look at that on a spiritual sense, it's about transmuting negative emotions and negative thoughts, feelings, behaviors, actions into positive ones. I also just intuitively was picking up very strongly on this oceanic energy, which might have to do with some planetary influences happening right now with Neptune. And so we have this Neptunian energy. And so I was reminded of the whale, who is the keeper of the human records. So he's the keeper of the Akashic records. And he sits at the bottom of the ocean. And the whale always reminds me of an observer. So it spoke to me in that remembering to have an observer part of yourself, to observe and have awareness of what's going on within and around you, so that you can direct your ship safely to harbor or to where you would like to go, rather than getting lost at sea. So then I have some channeled messages that I wrote that I'll share with you. And so the first thing I wanted to share is this spiral. So I'm feeling, when I think, sometimes I think in shapes and colors and elemental energies. So one of the elemental energies I was getting was water. One of the elemental energies I was getting is fire, but also in the cards, which I will talk about in a second, that I chose to do for this reading, as you could see, there's a lot of green within these cards, and of course black. So I chose black for the shadow element, because I feel like what we're going through right now is very shadowy, and it's about transmuting the shadow. And then these green colored cards spoke to me about the earth element, and I think that the earth element is very prominent right now. So it's important to stay grounded. So back to this shape. So I'm feeling this spinning movement, spinning towards the center. And as it's spinning towards the center, it's creating that centrifugal force, which pushes things from the center outwards. So you have this kind of movement moving away from the center of the spiral. So I feel like that is happening, but also at the same time, when you start to spin something, I don't know if you have ever tried to just spin really quickly in circles, you feel, or you've had someone spin you on a tire swing. If you pull your arms inwards, the centripetal force, which is the energy coming inwards, the centripetal force will become stronger. And so I'm getting this very strong sense of moving the energy inwards and outwards at the same time. And so what I think is happening is that by figuring out what we want to claim and hold onto and draw closer, it's also allowing us to release what we don't want and draw that further away. Because the way our attention works is it works in levels of what is called absorption. So if you get absorbed in the image of the whale, then the images around it, you can't focus on them because you're so focused on the thing in the center. Now, if you move your attention out and you start focusing on this ring of white graphic design around the whale, then you no longer are able to see details about the whale. So when you decide to focus on one thing, you're automatically excluding other things. And so at this time, I feel it's very important to hold on to your truth, to hold on to your path, to hold on to that which is true for you. And by doing so and holding on to those bits, that it will naturally move the things that you no longer need away from you. All right, so going back into my channeled messages for this solar eclipse, new moon in Sagittarius. So anytime there's a eclipse that's coordinated with a new or full moon, it really supercharges that energy, which is why I always feel so compelled to do these energy readings when there's a eclipse season. So what I'm feeling very strongly in this time right now is that we're coming to the end of a cycle. I'm feeling the idea of completion. I'm seeing things come to an end. And in some cases, I'm seeing things come to an end rather suddenly, but not necessarily unexpectedly. It's like things that you knew already on a very deep level or on an intuitive level. And I also get this very strong sense of emotion. And I think that it's to remind us that when you have really strong emotions, that is what motivates you towards change, because emotions are the strongest things to motivate you. So if you want to do something just to do it, that's one thing. If you want to do something because you know it's going to bring you emotional joy, you'll be way more motivated to do that thing. So I think at this time, it's really important to look at emotional motivation and ask yourself whether you're sitting in sort of your darker shadow emotions or in your brighter, lighter emotions, and try to seek balance between the two. It's not always about being in the light, but about integrating the dark with the light so that things come into consciousness when they're ready. So I think a lot is coming into consciousness at this time. Things that had been deeply hidden are now being revealed. I also got this image of a wave, which matches the whale, and I came up with the words of washing, moving, crashing, reconfiguring, healing waters, deep movement, deep release, revealing falsehoods, letting go of things that are broken, awareness of things that no longer function, no longer work, no longer serve you. I also felt in that emotional energy that I felt someone crying a lot. And so you might be having like crying jags. And I also feel like there's sadness of the sense of loss. Not only the sense of collective loss that we have from our new way of life, but also things that you know that didn't work out the way you thought they would at some point long ago, and now you need to make changes to change them, and it's a sadness because you've lost a part of yourself that you were. But with every ending, there's a new beginning. So the other emotion I was getting was frustration and almost like a little bit of anger bottling up. And so I think like to think before you speak, take time to observe your own behavior and take time alone if you need it. I was also getting those kind of tears that you cry when you just need to release. Like sometimes we cry and we don't even know what we're crying about, but there's some deep release that's happening on some level. I also was getting a sense of deep sexual healing and sexual tensions and sexual motivations, and kind of figuring out or being connected to on some subconscious levels our sexual desires. And so for that made me start thinking about the body and how this time is affecting us on a body level. And for women, I was definitely feeling some awareness of the womb and also healing taking place in the womb, and for men in the pelvic chakra. For everybody in the eyes and in the head, particularly on the face or in the brain, and also in the heart. And I know that's a lot of different areas, but what's happening with this centrifugal and centripetal spiralic energy is that's also a kind of energy pattern of the energy that's coming in at this time. And so we're getting these energetic upgrades cosmically. The cosmic energy is coming in to give us these upgrades for new ways of being. So with all that being said, I guess what I was intuiting was it's a good time to listen to signs and signals along your path, and as well to default to your inner knowingness rather than listening to other people or basing your truth on other people's opinion, but just spending time in your inner knowingness and using yourself as your own true north. All right, so then we are going to do a hopefully brief tarot card reading. These are the decks I have selected, so I'll pause and choose some cards and then we'll come back. Okay, so I chose the cards, got a beautiful array, so I'm just going to let you look at the cards before we get into it, just to see what I'm seeing, which is this really beautiful energy. All right, so start with this first row. The first card that I chose is the Six of Pentacles. So she has these 6 pentacles. They're going in a circle, so it has something to do with cycles. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, especially with finances. The Six of Pentacles in and of themselves have to do with earthly matters, resources, and finances. So sometimes you're the person with resources, and sometimes you're the person without resources. And when you have the resources, the message of this card is to share those resources with other people. So this is a time for sharing your skill sets, sharing your resources, of course, within reason. You never want to overgive or give to, for instance, the wrong people. As takers will keep taking, they don't know boundaries, so you give to the good. And so this card is also about reciprocity. It's about giving and receiving, and that cycle of giving and receiving. And then the next card is the Freedom card, which relates to the High Priestess card. So it's a card of intuition, of inner knowingness, of going within and trusting yourself for the right answers. She has these animals, but as you can see, they're not on leashes or caged or controlled at all, but they stay close to her. And the message is that we actually will find more control through freedom than you would through exerting control, either over yourself or over other people. She also has wings on her back, which are connected to these crescent moons. So it's about being connected to your higher self and connected to, the moon represents emotions, connected to your emotions and being at peace with and accepting the emotions that are going through you and processing them. And yeah, just like keep referring to the higher self and to the intuition in order to gain a sense of freedom. And the next card is a card of chance. So it's this, these are all goddesses in this deck. It's the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot deck. And so this goddess is, there's a wave behind her. So that relates to that wave energy that I was seeing before. And she's holding a ball of light in one hand and a slip of darkness and a flower in the other hand. And that's to say she's balancing both the light and the dark, and but trying to focus presently on the light. And the flower that's near the darkness represents that even in darkness, flowers grow. And she has hearts all over her gown, which represents the need to be gentle and approach things with kind lovingness. Sorry, my hand is shaking so much. And so this card is a number 10, which I was seeing the completion of cycles, and the Six of Pentacles cards definitely is speaking to cycles. And the number 10 is always the idea of the completion of a cycle and what comes next. And also this chance card is about realizing that there's nothing bad about light or darkness, and that nothing is against you. They're all just opportunities. So how do you use situations, whether they're negative or positive, to bring awareness into what the process is that you're currently going through? And by bringing that knowledge and awareness of your own process into your consciousness, you're able to see more opportunities of how to grow, how to move forward, how to change, how to evolve. All right, and then we go into this other deck, which is one of my favorite. These are both some of my favorite decks, but this one is the Enchanted Forest deck, which I absolutely love. So we got another 10 card, which is the 10 of Visions. And these cards are these Celtic cards, and they all come with stories. So the story of this card is that you're going through the forest and it's in the middle of the night and it's a full moon, and you happen across this family of star-dappled unicorns, and it's a very rare sighting, and it has to do with the luck of seeing the unicorns and of the joy that they bring and the joy that they have with their little unicorn family. So it's about joy and blissfulness in your own life. And if you aren't currently experiencing joy and blissfulness, then the question in the story is, what will bring you joy and blissfulness in your time in your life at this time? And then moving on to the 2 of Visions card. The story of this card is that these 2 women set out to go to the forest with great haste. One comes from the east and one comes from the west, and they run into each other, and without words they begin to stare into each other's eyes, and they somehow realize that what they had been missing in their life has been found, and that they realize that they are like the half of each other's soul. So this could just be a message about finding something that completes you, or finding something that you didn't even know was lost, because that's kind of the feeling you have when you find a soulmate or a twin flame or something like this, is that you didn't even know they were missing from your life until you found them. But that doesn't have to be a person. It can be a situation, or it could be, a thing that you do that brings you this pleasure and this joy and this happiness. But it also could be a person. It could be a lover or a partner or a friend, or a business partner. So that could be on the horizon. I feel like that's kind of like an incoming energy. And with that one, I'm getting a very strong sense of like it's going to start to happen maybe next year. 2022 is what I'm feeling on that, because it's all 2s, and this is about 2 people coming together, and it's the 2 of Visions, and the year that's coming is 2022. All right, and then I knew we were going to get the World card, which in this deck, the major arcana card is the Enchanter's Wheel, which is the number 10, which in the classic deck is the World card. Or no, it's not the World card, sorry, it's the Wheel of Fortune card. This is the Wheel of Fortune card. But we do have the World card later on. But the number 10 is the Wheel of Fortune card. So this is about fortunes turning. So in the story here, it's like, they wove together this spiral, which actually I'm just realizing this is the spiral of the energy that I showed you on the piece of paper. It's so crazy how these readings so coincide with my channeled messages. So the story here is that the enchanter wove this spiral, and in the spiral there's poisonous plants but also medicinal plants, and so you need to know which one you're going for, and you can see there's little things attached to it. And so this is just about the Wheel of Fortune is about things changing. It's about change, and sometimes things change for the better and sometimes things change for the worse. Although with all the cards that surround this, I would say that the card is saying that things are about to change for the better. And also just intuitively, I've been always sensing that towards late December of this year, there's going to be some major shifts, and that from there we will finally be able to be starting to move forward. And I feel as part of this energetic shift that's happening right now, there is a real sense of forward motion, especially because the symbol of Sagittarius is the archer who draws back the bow and hits the bullseye every time. And so that's what I'm getting, is like a positive thrust and movement forward. Okay, so in the next row, we have the Father of Pentacles, and the Father of Pentacles is that It's that like masculine energy of being a protector and a provider, and of having resources enough to help other people. It's very much connected to the Six of Pentacles, which is that now that you have this abundance, how do you protect, provide, and share with others? And this is about being grounded and connected to the earth, because the Pentacles have everything to do with the earthly plane, which also has to do with resources, but also just the ability to stay grounded. And I'm really connecting to that bear energy, and the bear is about, it stores for winter and then it goes into hibernation and it has enough fat. So I'm also feeling like just be mindful of how you use your resources, because these are crazy days and you never know if you are going to need to tap on resources that you have squirreled away. And so this also has to do with that pyrite stone, which is about protection, and pyrite also is very much holding the masculine energy as an earth stone and has to do with the earth element. The next card was the Ace of Cups, which this is all about yourself on an emotional level. And traditionally it means that it's sort of like you're realizing what love and abundance you have, and looking to share that with other people. But I'm also in this reading seeing it as an overwhelm of love and an overwhelm of emotions in general, and maybe needing some time to balance the emotions. Maybe with the earth element and feeling grounded, balancing the, I don't know how to say it. I guess it's one thing to be joyful and in your heart space and you want to do and give to other people, but there's also the level where it becomes so over the top that it becomes like desperation, or over giving, or just overly emotive. So that's kind of what I'm picking up from this card in this particular reading. And the Empress card is the companion card, kind of, in this reading at least it will be, to the Father of Pentacles. So this is that female energy. It's the divine feminine energy, and it's about asking yourself, what are you putting into the ground at this time and seeding it for it to grow. So it's about knowing what you're nurturing in your own creative process or in your life process that is then going to be something that grows. So this card is about growth, which also connects to this new moon in Sagittarius, because Sagittarius is connected with the planet Jupiter, and the Jupiter is all about expansion and supercharging things and really allowing things to grow. It's about taking on higher education and learning and expanding your mind, as well as going abroad to different locations, traveling and seeing different things and opening your mind to different cultures. So I'm picking up that in this Empress card, just the desire to want to grow, and that's confirmation to do this at this time, to learn new things, to expose yourself to something that's new, whether you travel there or not. But for some people, maybe see that there will be some travels involved too. And also the roots are reminding me of a home location. So maybe for some people it might be like traveling and or also moving. I feel like moving is the path of growth for some people watching this. There's a lot in that card. I'm feeling so much, but I don't want to get too lost in time here. So then, yes, we did have the World card. I love this card. I love these images on this particular deck. So you have the snake image and these eyes, and it reminds me of the Ouroboros, which is like that snake that eats its own tail, which is one of the oldest mythological symbols. So the world is about wholeness, it's about completion, it's about finishing a cycle. So I would say if you aren't finishing up a cycle, it's telling you that maybe there's a cycle that needs to be closed, a chapter that needs to be finished up. Just think about what some of these other cards are saying, which is, you know, looking for your joy, taking a chance, looking for what brings you freedom, where you feel safe, where you feel protected, what brings you passion and inner motivation towards doing things. What do you want to nurture? What do you want to grow? And then that will tell you what do you want to move away from. And so that world is like that completion of a cycle that has ended. And again, another card that I kind of knew was going to come when I was doing the channeling. All right, and then we have a confirmation with this Ace of Cups, because I already had this Ace of Cups over here, and now we have the Ace of Cups with this other deck. And what I'm getting with this is just spending time with yourself and investing in yourself, and trying to find passion within activities that you enjoy and what lights you up and makes you feel positive. Also see these moons in here, so maybe over the course of like a month, you'll be able to connect yourself to something that brings you deeper satisfaction and deeper joy. All right, and then the last of this set is this 10 of Cups, which is, as you can tell, just a card about complete fulfillment. This is the card of, you know, the person who's gotten to that place in their life where they feel like they have arrived and they have achieved. But it also could be, even if you don't have that feeling, the signal that deeper satisfaction and deeper joy will come. I'm picking up on the bees in this, so maybe deeper satisfaction and joy will come from your work situations and, you know, the family situations, and connecting to those higher energies and vibrations within yourself. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the messages from these animal spirits. Okay, so the message of the lamb is to sit still and to listen. It says that sometimes people come into your life and it could just be a child or a stranger, or a person on the street that you run into, and they just say something that kind of, goes straight into your soul, and you feel like they've just spoken some deep truth. And so this is about that, just listening for messages that come in and the stillness that's required to do so. I'm getting a lot of messages about calming yourself, slowing down, and having moments of stillness in your day to assimilate all this new energy that's coming in, because we're at this point where there's just been a lot of chaos and confusion and fear, and to be honest, maybe just a lot of negativity, and also blocking kind of energies, in very chaotic energies kind of moving through for a very long time now. And so now things are starting to turn about face and move and push forward into a new direction. And as we're doing this about face turn, I'm getting the message that taking moments of stillness, a little extra time for yourself to sit and listen and connect with your higher self is what we need to be focusing on right now. The next card is the Dolphin card. So this is a message about a blessing, a deep blessing coming into your life. It could be a person, or it could just be something that happens where either someone brings healing into your life, or you feel healed on a very deep level, or maybe the blessing is just that this healing just is happening for you right now. So this is a message, a very deep, profound healing taking place. And then we have the Mouse card, and the mouse is to remind us not to get caught up in the busy work and not to get caught up in the quote unquote work of it all, and to maybe take a step back like the lamb and listen and be calm and be still. And then I pulled some cards. So these are all like, animal and plant kingdom cards as, messages of what can help us. So one of the plants, or one of the flowers that I chose, was gladiola. Its message is strength of character and moral integrity. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experiences of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Helen Keller. So I was funny because I was talking to somebody and they didn't know who Helen Keller is. So if you don't know who Helen Keller is, she was somebody that was deaf, dumb, and blind, and worked with a lot of adversity throughout her life with just trying to do the basic things. And she was very creative and resourceful, and she would not accept to be somebody that was dealing with these things that would hold her back. So she just figured out ways to move forward. And I guess that I really deeply relate to that, and especially at this time, because I feel like we all need to find that deep resiliency within us of what's going to make it, and what can we do, what opportunities do we have, and look at things creatively to move our way, whether it's pushing our way, worming our way, sidestepping our way, whatever creative way that you have of moving forward. And this card is basically saying, without the difficulty, there won't be forward motion. So it's like something needs to push in order for you to push against it and move past it. And that in that comes strength of character and moral integrity. And then this daffodil flower, which is about rebirth and new beginnings. New beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. That's Lao Tzu. So likewise, it's like the thing I was explaining when I had the whale in the center before, without your focus on this, like if you focus on this, you can't focus on that. Likewise, if you don't end that thing, this is the world cards about endings. If you don't end that thing, then the new thing can't start. There's no space for it. So to make space for the new thing, something else has got to end. And obviously endings are very painful. All right, and then I have two cards that are essential oil cards. And this one is the black spruce, which restores energy and builds confidence. The spruce is about realizing the potential that you have within you. So looking to your highest potential, and you know what you can be when you're at your worst, but what can you be when you're at your best? And what and who inspires you to be that way? And move towards that. And then peppermint, it's like probably my favorite herb. It energizes and invigorates. It's also about the smell of mint. It's about mint's about finding that inspiration. What inspiration do you need to move forward, and what thing is going to invigorate you? Because like these messages from Helen Keller and these flower messages are sort of speaking to, like, what do you need for the resiliency to create forward motion in your life, and how can you move forward at this point? Because I think a lot of us have felt stuck. We're just trying to make the best of the situation that we're in, and now it's time to find movement within the restriction, which I believe we can do. So that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it was helpful for you. Please take care, get lots of rest, spend some time with yourself, take it easy during this solar eclipse. It's a total solar eclipse and new moon in Sagittarius. All right, take care. Bye.